Hello, this is the Green Corn Rebellion Show. I'm Gregory Harden II, and today I am here with my friend JeKia Harrison, who is currently one of our committee people, national committee people for Young Democrats of Oklahoma, and is currently running for president of Young Democrats of Oklahoma on with a slate that is titled Empower YDO. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you for coming on. So so first question, where are you from and where did you grow up and what got you into politics?
Sure. So I'm from Oklahoma City, grew up in Northeast Oklahoma City, went to Millwood High School, all of those things, went to college in Nashville, but came back home um, to be able to participate in all of the things that Oklahoma has to offer. I saw that it was starting to boom because during that time, that's when we started to see the expansion and growth within downtown Oklahoma City. And so I figured I didn't want to be on the outside when there's an opportunity to actually grow with the place that I call home. And so I really made a decision and focused in on making sure that I plant my roots here. And so this one of the big things for me is making sure that I continue in doing that. I got into politics because actually my dad ran for school board when I was in middle school. That was my first time being a field organizer, and I had no clue. So my dad actually he talked to me one night and said, "Hey, I'm gonna run for school board, and I really need your help. I need you to go get some of your friends so you can come help me knock doors." Well, I didn't know what I was doing. He just said pizza, and I was so I went ahead and I told my friends, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. And so I ended up getting about 6 or 7 of my friends on different days, which was really cool because we did it on multiple times. But we got into the back of my dad's Yukon. We let the seats down and we all piled in and drove into the neighborhood. And we started knocking doors and talking to the constituents of the Millwood Public School Board District. And so that was a really cool experience. My dad ended up sitting on the board for 15 years. So I got a little bit of a glimpse of what the local level can do and how it can impact the community. And so that is what spurred me to this. But I actually, in my adult age, got into it because I was at that time working within an agency within the state of Oklahoma, and I wanted to be able to do some advocacy. Like, what does it mean to actually advocate for myself? What does it mean to actually go to the Capitol and speak about the issues that are happening? And what can I be able to do to better push the ideals and the ideology that I believe in? And so when I started to see that and participate in that, I wanted to do more. And so that's how I got into Democratic Party politics, actually, is wanting to learn more. And I had a couple of friends that asked me if I wanted to get involved, and there was no turning back. They pulled me all the way through. So, yeah.
All right. Um, and what all have you done in politics up until this point of running for YDO president?
So, I've had the opportunity to do some really cool things. So I would say that I've really been entrenched in this probably since 2019. Pandemic happened, so that allowed me to actually have some flexibility in changing what I wanted to do in life. So I moved from the nonprofit sector at that point in time and started working on the Kendra Horn campaign. And that was a really cool experience. I was a field organizer on that team. And although we did not win that race, I ended up learning so much and making so many connections with people. And that was a great thing for me to be able to have. And so we did that and then moved on to actually go to Georgia. I went to Columbus, Georgia, and participated in the Senate runoff there. And so that was really cool because this was a whole new playing field for me. This was actually one of the things that helped maintain our democracy, is what I would say. And so to be a part of that situation and being able to be a part of a U.S. Senate race and seeing how Georgia operates. And if you know anything about Columbus, Georgia, this is like a rock's throw from Alabama. Like you literally cross the river and you're in a completely different state. And so to see them in rural Georgia and how they were operating and engaging was a great experience to have under my belt. I got to bring some of the things that I learned there and bring it back home to Oklahoma. And so I started working on some other campaigns, worked on a couple of local school board races in the Middle and Oklahoma City public school districts. At this point, I've worked on more congressional races, done some things on Senate district races. And so now I've expanded and have really enjoyed it. This last cycle, I got to work on the Kendra Horn U.S. Senate campaign and the political team. And so that was me being able to get out there and make some connections with a lot of the people that are doing the work within different counties and actually getting to travel and see those people. And so that was really a good time, and it expanded my focus of what Oklahoma looks like. But it also made me narrow in and focus on the fact that maybe Oklahoma isn't as engaging to our young people as we should be. That there is still a space for us to be able to actually have conversations that we aren't having yet, and that a lot of the things that are being legislated and talked about are affecting the generations to come, or the ones that may not have the voice yet or may not be in the power yet. And so we've got to be able to learn how to empower those voices. And that's exactly where the Empower YDO came from. It was so that we can be able to make sure that we're moving those things forward and making sure those voices are being heard, because there are a lot of young folks that really have something to say, but they just don't have an idea of where to start and how to say it.
All right. So what made you want to run for president of Young Democrats of Oklahoma?
So I kind of talked about that a little bit already, but also a lot of people will tell you I'm a background person. I am one of those people that will do the dirty work in the background and never feel the urge or the need to actually be in the forefront of something, but have a lot of ideas. And this time I wanted to be able to actually push the ideas forward. I wanted to be the person that was manning the ship with the ideas and bring people along with me that really want to see those things happen too. The folks on the Empower YDO slate are dedicated to wanting to see this work happen and want to be able to see us be able to have these voices of young folks put forward, and making sure that we actually are doing what is necessary to advance the Democratic Party. I think one of the things that has been a disconnect is the ability for a young person to maneuver from a young person's perspective, so Young Democrats of Oklahoma, but being able to implement that in the actual space of the state party. And so I think that merging those two and being able to work with those groupings that are out there that can actually help us to put the messaging forward for young people, but also to make sure that we're bridging the gap, because there has to be somebody next up. There has to be a bench to be able to make sure that we can sustain this party far beyond the tomorrow and the next week and the next month, the next year. We have to be able to sustain as we continue to move forward.
Um, so tell me what positions there are on the YDO board and who is on your slate that is going to be in those specific positions.
Okay, cool. So you're actually getting the full list. We actually haven't rolled this list out completely yet, and so you're getting the scoop on this. But super excited about this slate. So of course, I'm running for president. And then we have executive vice president, and that is Henry Biebelheimer. And then VP of membership development is Nicole Maldonado. Secretary Isabella Rodriguez, Treasurer Lauren Linus, Chair of Chapter Presidents Tevin McDaniel, National Committee Person 1, Dakota Christian, and then National Committee Person 2 will be Mac McCleary. And so I'm super excited about this. Like, it is some people that have been within the party before now. So some that, have had a little bit of experience with the party, and then other people that are brand new to it. And I'm excited about having that mixture together, but it just tells that there are some people out there ready and willing to do some work.
Okay. Um, these are some names of people I've known for a little bit, and
Yeah.
these are also some people I haven't heard of. So it's exciting to see that, because sometimes people will put a slate together and it's all people I've met and know before, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. But this is different to me because it's like, okay, half of it's people I know, half of it's people I don't know. So I'm excited to get to meet them and see what they're about. Also, the division of where people are from
Yeah. Yeah.
is pretty diverse as well. They're not all from one metro area or one particular area within the state. They're from all different parts of the state. Oklahoma City area, Tulsa area. Is there someone from Lawton on the
So we
or
don't have
that area
anybody
at
from
least?
Lawton. We don't have anybody from Lawton. Really tried to dig into that and see if I could find somebody. I'm aware of some people that are down there. We're trying to get the Lawton chapter back up and running because that was specific to Cameron University.
Yeah.
And so I think once we can, that's a part of the goal that I have, is to go back out there and get those chapters re-engaged that we had once before, because there are still people out there that really want to do this particular type of work. But we do have someone that is from, I was very specific in wanting to find somebody that knows rural Oklahoma. And that is something that Henry is going to bring to the table. Now, it's really cool because he actually is on the city planning board for he is a city planner, I guess I should say, for Broken Arrow, but
Yeah.
he is from like Wagner. And so
Yeah.
we think of it as like, and he's like, I went to school like an hour and a half away because my dad was a teacher. And I'm sitting there thinking about it. I'm like, that's insane to me that you went to school that's in a more rural place than the rural place that you're from. And so I think being intentional about making sure that we actually did that. Something that a lot of people don't know about Nicole is that when she came back to the US, because she went back to Colombia when her mom is from there, of course, and she was born here in the US, but she went back to Colombia with her mother. And when she came back, she didn't come back to Oklahoma City. She went to Durant. She went to school in Durant.
Yeah.
So you have a completely different perspective on life than I do, because I am an urban girl through and through, and I am okay with saying that. But I wanted to make sure that we had some folks that could actually give us some different perspectives on what it's like to live in different parts of Oklahoma.
Yeah, especially a place like Durant, because I don't ever, it's rare that I ever meet someone from there, and that's not a small place either.
No, it's
Like
not.
it's about half the size of Shawnee, which Shawnee
Mhm.
isn't a small place either. It's about 30,000 people, but I think Durant's about 17,000, 15,000, and it has a university. Like
Yes,
it's a certainly a place that I feel like gets overlooked in the southeastern part of Oklahoma.
definitely.
Um, Especially when I think the first time a lot of people, or the last time a lot of people have probably heard of Durant, was when Kevin Durant left, and there
Yeah.
was like a petition to try to change the name of Durant,
Oh,
Oklahoma.
Durant.
And I'm like, I don't think you guys named Durant after Kevin Durant. I think the city was around way before even Kevin Durant was born. So I don't
Yeah.
really see reasoning for this, but okay.
Yeah, it was super. It was funny that you say that, but yeah, that is the last thing that probably people connect to and don't realize that we have a major university that sits right there. And so it's, like I said, good perspective from a lot of different people, and I'm glad to have them on board.
Oh, okay. Another question I had is clarify the relationship between young Democrats and college Democrats, because a lot of people get confused. They know it's technically two separate organizations, but one has a seat at the table of the state central committee and one does not. And how does that actually work? Like, yeah, clarify that for people.
Sure thing. So, Young Democrats of Oklahoma, per the Constitution and bylaws of the Oklahoma Democratic Party, is anyone between the age range of 14 and 40, and has been designated the youth arm of the Democratic Party. And so, because that is in place, there is there's been some pushback on it a little bit. I will admit that there's been some pushback about not being able to have high school Dems at the table and not being able to have college Dems at the table. But we are the only grouping that actually includes them into our body. So uh, College Democrats also has its own space as far as its own national organization. And so they go to national conventions and elect just like we do. They have a space within the DNC that they are capable of having. So there is some room there for that. But the one thing that we do allow is that for high school Democrats and for college Democrats to have a seat at the Young Democrats of Oklahoma table. So yes, I named the positions that are available for the slate for Young Democrats of Oklahoma to be able to be filled, but we also have a seat on the executive board for college Democrats and for high school Democrats. The reason why I do not want to, because I've had this question a couple of times of why don't I have somebody on the slate that is for college Democrats or for high school Democrats? I don't feel like it's my place. These organizations have to speak to a body that is outside that of Young Democrats of Oklahoma. So because College Democrats has a national organization, because High School Democrats has a national organization, it is not my place to tell who should lead those people in their charge when they're going to their national organizations. I think they should have the ability to go and pick who they would like to have that can lead them forward, because it's just as important as the Young Democrats of Oklahoma presidency to me. And they should have some good representation in place. So, like I said, I think that having them on the YDO board creates a space for them to still be heard. And then we can then take whatever issues they may have to the state party. And so it's just a liaison type of situation in place more so than anything. So it just gives us that ability because we are the blanketed organization.
Okay. I like that. Because I remember when I was in high school, I looked into and did start a Young Democrats group at my high school my senior year.
Mhm.
And I learned how that's how I learned that these are all different organizations that operate separately and whatnot. Because we were a high school, so there was a different form to apply to become a high school Democrats chapter, and there was a different form to apply to be a Young Democrats chapter.
Right.
And there was no wrong answer. You could do both. You could do just one or the other. Um, and it was just as long as you meet the criteria. I think it's 5 members to be um, part of either, and then fill out the form. Blah blah blah. And I learned that when I whenever I tried to actually do it. And I think most high school Democrat, and there was a few other chapters in the state that I ended up connecting with, like in Edmond, and they called themselves Young Democrats, and they went under the banner Young Democrats, not High School Democrats. So there is no wrong answer on how to form the chapters. It's whether or not these organizations have a um, relationship and connection with each other to make sure that we're able to keep these things going, you know, as time moves on.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, that's
Uh,
definitely we've definitely seen also that that is probably one of the more important parts of it is making sure that we're keeping those people engaged between each of the chapters. So yes, it may look that way that none of them have anything to do with the other, but they really do in essence, because they actually put each other, in play. I think that's, so and really they feed each other, they funnel to each other. So you can't do high school without college, college without, what I mean? So it all just kind of goes
yeah.
together.
Yeah, because here in Shawnee, it it's I think it'd be easier for, instead of trying to redo the Shawnee High School Young Democrats, it would be easier to do Pot County Young Democrats, have us kind of operate a little bit in tandem with regular county Democrats, and try to have both groups mix and mingle, because at the end of the day, if we're going to have young people, they're also going to need to also be coming to regular county meetings at some point too.
Exactly.
So, and if you have Pot County Young Democrats, it eliminates the, even though it's Pot County, there's still a little bit of um Bethel people don't like Shawnee people, McLeod people don't like Dale people, or
Yeah.
Bethel people, Tecumseh people, or maybe okay with Shawnee people. You know, there's still that. But if you
Yeah.
just have Pot County Democrats, it's a little bit more inclusive, and it's less of, oh, well, it's Shawnee and we don't mess around with Shawnee. Even if this is an ideological political organization, we might agree with them politically, but they're still Shawnee. Like, hearing those words in my own house district is like so weird. I'm just like, okay, I guess, but
Like we should all have the same, don't you think we should all be fighting the same battle and using the same resources if we can? It makes it
yes.
easier, right? So that's also something that we really looked into is how, because a lot of people have asked, do you have a Young Democrats chapter in some of these rural counties? And the answer to that question for most of them is no, of course, because they haven't been chartered yet, or we haven't been able to find somebody to be able to reach out to in that area. But the other side of it is that there is usually a young person within a county that is doing the work,
Yeah,
and they just don't have 5 people to charter it, so
exactly. Yeah.
we still have to have space for them to be able to be heard and to be seen and do all the stuff. And it's crazy because one of the things that the state party has done, which I have started to entertain that idea of being able to combine some of these counties together so that they can create their own little county, tripod, whatever they want to call
Yes.
it, so that they
Yeah.
can be able to make sure that they still have something available to them that's in their area. So I think that we can be able to do some stuff like that in the future that actually allows for us to engage all of these young people across the way. And maybe we'll stop having that, oh yeah, my friend down the street lives too close to, that side over there in Shawnee or over there in Edmond or Oklahoma City or more, because we definitely have heard a lot of that in like more Norman, Oklahoma City area. It's
Hmm.
really interesting there too, because I mean, really the dynamics are about the same, but we all want to be in our own little circles.
Yeah, because when it comes to like Pot County, I think a good way to probably measure whether or not you can combine certain counties is the population of each county.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way I see it is, I mean, it would be nice for Pot County, Seminole County, Lincoln County to be one whole thing, but Pot County has enough people to stand on its own,
Yeah,
whether it be Young Democrats or just regular county chapter. Um, but Seminole County, well, I think personally they should be able to because of the demographics and whatnot, and it's a pretty interesting county within itself. It's only 30,000 people or so,
right.
and they share. I think they share a state house district with some surrounding counties or a state senate district. That's what it is. It's a state senate district. They share with surrounding counties. It would be cool to have a Seminole County, Lincoln County chapter of Young Democrats because they share state senate's 28, I think is what it is, and also they're right by each other and they're similar in composition in terms of population size.
Yeah.
And then Pontotoc County, I think it could stand by itself because I think there's like 40,000 people, but it's also got, I think they have an active Pontotoc County Democrats, not Young Democrats, but Democrats. And I think they used to have an ECU Democrats,
They
College
did. They
Democrats.
did have the ECU. And
Yeah.
I think we have asked some questions because some of these, so some of the college chapters, they have, they become dormant for a while and then they spring back up. And we see that often. But I think sometimes what the issue is they don't know who to go back and report to because things change so often. So I think being able to have like a central hub for all of that information will be very helpful to them to know, like, you can turn your paperwork in to this person or to this, not even this person, this email address. So
Yeah.
even long after, whatever term is done and, people move on to their next thing, you can still be able to say, okay, I know that they're going to receive this documentation because it went to this same email address that we've been using for the last 10 years. So I think if we have that type of stuff in place, it'll be much easier for us to be able to track those things and to be able to look at how we could do some coupling and some trios out there of counties and how that could be able to help us operate.
Yeah. Because currently, right now, I don't even know where I would go. Like Pot County, we've been talking about getting our Young Democrats chapters restarted because we did have one that was started before the pandemic,
Right.
with a Facebook group and Facebook page that I still have access to, but have not used because obviously it's just haven't been able to use anything. But at this point, I don't even know where I would go to fill out a form to reincorporate, like,
Right.
let alone find 5 people. I mean, I think I have 5 or 6 people that would like to at least be put down on the form
Mm-hmm.
to form the group again. But I don't even know where to go to even form that or to email whoever to say, hey, we're doing our thing. This is our information, blah, blah, blah. This is our Facebook group. I wouldn't even know now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've had some people ask a lot of questions about where those things are. Some of the things in transition, I will say the pandemic did do a number on us. I like many things, you try to keep something up and running and not knowing how to navigate life during that time frame. You just trying to figure it out and make sure that you are taking care of yourself and your families. And so we couldn't ask more of people, and those that stayed engaged, we applaud them and I applaud them. But I think that we could definitely say everybody should. If you stayed engaged in these last cycles as we've been going through, and coming out of and hopefully staying out of a global pandemic. Um, I will also say there are some tools out there now. So if you go to the Facebook for Young Democrats of Oklahoma, there is some information that is out there. Especially now that we're at convention time, there is things like our constitution and bylaws is out there for people to be able to read. especially if they're wanting to make any changes or would like to see something added. Those things are out there. We definitely are trying to compile a full list of all of the chapters that we have so we can be able to report that out. That's a little harder than we would like for it to be, but definitely trying to be able to get that done. But I mean, all of those things, I will say that our current secretary has done a really good job of trying to put all of our documentation in one place. And so now that we have something that we can be able to say is tangible for us, and that is there's a drive out there, it's easier for us to send that information out to people. But you can email youngdemsoklahoma@gmail.com, and somebody has access to that at all times. The secretary does. I do, a couple of our current EVP does. Like, we have access to that email so that we can be able to check that and see if there's any needs that are out there. And then also messaging us on social media, we check that too. It may not be as quick of a response, but definitely are we looking at those messaging tools.
And the last question I have here is, what kind of music do you listen to?
Oh, that's a good one. So, oh, I don't want to be like super cliche.
Mhm.
So I'm going to give you my variety of things, because I can go from, depending on my mood, I can go from one place to another place. So of course I grew up an R&B kid. So if you give me some good 90s R&B, I'm okay with that when I need to be really mellow and get some work done. If you hear that coming from me, that means that I am in a zone and you probably don't want to disturb. But
What's your favorite TLC album? You have to have one.
oh man, I really think Crazy Sexy Cool was probably my favorite, but I some of the later stuff, like Fan Mail, is
Yeah.
probably where like I resonate the most, because that was my time when I could remember the lyrics
Mhm.
and was like out having fun with friends. And I mean, elementary, middle school me was doing that stuff, but that's probably one of the best ones. I also, what a lot of people don't know about me, I enjoy West Coast rap.
Mhm.
So that is my energetic, I need to get up, get moving. It's some work to be done type of music that keeps me going in the morning, where I probably would be really down in the dumps if I didn't have it. So if you hear me listening to E40 or any, you know where I am. If I'm listening to that, that means I'm trying to energize myself for the day to come. And then other than that, so somebody asked me what has been my go-to song lately. And it is actually like, I wouldn't, like, old school Beyonce is not necessarily a thing, because can we really call Beyonce old school? I don't think so.
Hey, I've I've been I've been substitute teaching for almost 4 years now, and there's old school Beyonce. I'll just say that. Cause I'll ask, because my students, they literally don't know Jay-Z. They know him as Beyonce's husband. I was
Oh
like,
no, that's actually really sad, and that is actually telling me that I am on the back end of this Young Dems thing.
right?
But one of my favorite right now, one of the things that I have been listening to empower myself is Beyonce's song "Grown Woman." It is an upbeat little, get
Wait,
you
which album
moving
is
type.
that on?
Um, oh gosh, I can see the album cover in my head, but I can't.
What other songs are on that album? Because that's not the first one, is it?
No,
Okay, I was thinking it's Sasha
it's
Fierce,
later.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind
Yeah.
of this one's kind of middle. I don't want to say that it's four. I can't remember. I can't remember.
Was Obama president when it came out?
No, it was it was
Okay, so Bush was president then. Okay.
yes, Bush was
So it's probably
president.
Sasha,
I had to
it was
think
probably
about that.
Sasha
Like,
Fierce then, yeah.
yeah, yes, yeah. So we're trying
With
to, but yeah,
Halo
that's
and yeah.
yeah. I think it was on that album.
Yeah.
So So that's one of my go-tos right now because it just kind of puts me in that mindset. It's like a power set kind of song for me. So that's really where I am right now. That's a really good question. I like that one.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on. Where can we find more information about you and your slate?
Sure thing. So, of course, social media is the way that we always get messaging out nowadays. One of the ways, anyway. But you can find us at Empower YDO on Facebook and Empower_YDO. We have been getting some information out on Twitter under the hashtag EmpowerYDO. So, if you have any questions or anything, please feel free to find me on social media as well, JeKia Harrison, and I would be more than happy to have more conversations about what I'm looking forward to in the years to come with Young Democrats of Oklahoma and the party overall.